it's fair to say that through my little bit of research this week, I found out that it is not all Trump. It is not all Biden.
Nope.
It is not all Russia versus Ukraine.
Nope.
It's that age-old thing.
And it's still not even all pandemic.
Right. And it's not all pandemic. You're right. And it comes back. It's that age-old thing. If you follow the money,
Right.
you're going to find out what's going on.
Right.
What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for being with us today. This is the Deviance Welcome Podcast, brought to you by Volatile Patience. I am John, and with me, as always, my co-host, Cell. Say hi to the people, Cell.
Hi, the people.
Fantastic. So gas is expensive. Real expensive. Not the most expensive I've ever seen it, but it's pretty expensive right now.
Pretty sure it's the most expensive you've ever seen it. I'm pretty sure that they said recently that it broke records the other day.
I don't know.
But maybe that was on a limited time scale, like broke records since after, George Bush.
I do have a Costco membership, so that does kind of it gives me a different advantage to this point, and I'm sure that will change this week when I fill up. But I have not yet had to pay over $4 a gallon, and I have absolutely done that before.
Yeah.
Okay. I take from your heavy sigh that you've paid over $4 a gallon this week.
Several times this week.
Yeah, yikes.
Because with the amount of driving that I do, I fill up 2 to 3 times a week.
God, that's disgusting. That's so bad. I am lucky to have recently bought a newer used vehicle that gives me like 30 miles to the gallon when I'm driving in the city.
Right.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Dude, it is. It really is. And the Costco membership makes it easier.
I'm very much looking to buy a new used car at some point here, except that those are going to be way above what I'm willing to pay as far as market price because of all of the chip shortage shit. So, cars are expensive right now too.
Okay.
At least last I heard.
Fair enough.
I haven't looked into it recently. But
I bought a car last April.
Right.
So I'm not in the market.
Right.
But the reason I brought that up is because I was looking for a good segue. But the reason I brought it up is there is a lot of back and forth, right? The conservatives are coming out, oh, Biden's weak, and now we have high gas, and you get the cool meme. Did you see the "Don't Tread on Me" snake? But it says, I don't know how gas prices work. That's one of my favorite ones. But the Democrats are no different. The left is no different. They're bitching about, oh, well, this is on Trump because he fumbled the COVID, and a case can be made, and I will touch on that. But there's a lot of bickering back and forth.
Sure.
So I wanted to, this week, I approached you and was
I'm just still mad over you calling the Democrats the left. That's all.
So petty. I'm sorry. The left of center in this country. That is my mistake.
The left of center right.
That is my mistake. The left of center right in this country. But they're bitching back and forth about, oh, it's the president's fault. It's the president's fault. And so I wanted to dig in this week and really figure out, with a week's worth of research, and for us, a week is like an hour a day, at least for me.
Sure.
For the podcast research, I'm like, in a few hours, could I take some time, read some articles from different sources all over the place, right? And get to the bottom of why the oil costs are so high. And the answer, I think, is yes.
Yeah. It's not too tough.
But I wanted to start with all the things it's not. All of these common myths that I keep seeing on social media.
Oh, boy.
Because I am inundated.
Yeah, you're still on
Facebook,
day. So you see all of
You can find me on Facebook, y'all. and I'm dealing with all of that shit. But every day I'm getting either, a sticker with Biden's face on it right next to a gas pump saying, I did this, or let's go, Brandon. I can't emphasize enough, please, just say fuck Joe Biden like an adult.
Okay, can we...
Let's do this.
Although, hang on, I got to do this to be fair because it's something that, everybody's been harping on. The whole let's go, Brandon thing was because, at a race, the people were chanting fuck Joe Biden, and the reporters... because it was kind of muddled from everybody, blah, blah, blah. Right. The reporters made up the let's go Brandon so that they could get past censorship.
Right.
So it became a meme at that point.
Right.
So like this wasn't like a creation of theirs.
No.
This was censorship, basically,
No.
like making it fucking censorship that got memed.
You are 100% correct. I don't have an issue with, I don't have an issue with the media trying to do its job. I think it's hilarious when they're doing live sports events.
Right.
And you can clearly hear F-bombs being shouted out. It's amazing. I love it. I don't have a problem with the fact that the media did its job to try and salvage a broadcast.
Sure.
Because apparently Americans can't hear other Americans curse. But my issue is the people that still use it.
I mean,
And I'm like, why? Because if you're going to say that, just we all know what you mean. You're not being clever.
Right.
Just say fuck Joe Biden like an adult. I do it all the time.
look, conservatives have this issue where like they have one joke and then they just do like a million permutations of that one joke. And that's all they got.
It's like, let's go, Brandon. Are you paying attention to me?
Right.
Let's go, Brandon. Are you triggered yet?
Right.
Let's go, Brandon. You're triggered. Like, no, I'm not. I'm annoyed because you aren't coming up with anything original. For fuck's sake, just
Right.
it drives me nuts
Okay.
that every time, and because I'm getting all these posts, I see it on every fucking comment
I
section
suppose
every time. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go. It's fuck Joe Biden, okay? That's what it is. Say what you mean. You're an adult. If you're not an adult, get off Facebook. You don't belong here. You belong on something that's trending.
Get your ass to TikTok.
Right. But a lot of the criticism in Joe Biden is, of course, the pipeline that he cut off.
That he didn't cut off.
Right? But that is one of the biggest ones that I keep hearing. So I dug a little bit into that, and well,
Are we talking about Nord Stream or Keystone?
Keystone
at this point. Okay.
But funny piece of information that I found with 5 minutes of research. Like literally, it was in the first paragraph of one of the articles I saw.
Yeah.
That pipeline wasn't even like the part that he cut off wasn't even going to be operational for another year.
Right.
Like to this point, it wasn't even supposed to be ready until 2023. So I guarantee you that's not the problem. I guarantee you that's not it. With a little bit of stuff, with 5 minutes of research and the correct Google search terms, right? You could have made your argument stronger by not saying that shit. Swing and a miss. If you're going to present an argument, you got to give me something I can't immediately reason away with a 5-minute Google search.
Sure.
You know?
Right.
Like, it's lazy.
Yeah.
And at this point, we've been dealing with the back and forth so much that, like, it's not entertaining anymore because it's all the same, just lame shit. If I'm going to be entertained by this, I need spice. You need to improve. The product needs to get better.
No, I mean, like, it got shut down because, like, one of the other parts of it that it was operational had a fucking leak.
Right.
And spilled a whole shit ton of oil onto fucking, land that by treaty should still belong to Native Americans.
Oops.
All the things that people said, no, that's never going to happen. Yeah,
No
it happened.
Did you see the South Park with BP?
No.
No. We're sorry. Sorry.
Can we cover the fact that, like, one of the things that we cut on Month in Review was the one South Park joke that I had, because that's going all the way back to Magic Johnson's money cured AIDS.
Oh my God. You need to watch more South Park. It's great. It's still on.
I know it's still on. I just don't have the time to watch it, really. Like, I don't want to give the time to watch it.
Okay. I was going to say, you just spent hours streaming your barrage through Horizon Forbidden West. Like, you don't have the time, my ass. Educate yourself so I can make these funny impressions.
Look, somebody that listens probably watches South Parks and they can get the joke. I don't have to. It's fine.
Fair enough. But I also found it kind of funny that, like, a lot of these people that are complaining about the gas prices are also caravanning across our country in trucks that probably get like 5 miles to the gallon.
Sure. Of diesel.
Right, of diesel. I don't know. I'm just the next one I constantly hear from the Trumpers on this side is we're not energy independent anymore. As soon as Biden came in, we stopped being energy independent. We were energy independent under Trump. No, we weren't. With another 5 minutes of research, in the first paragraph of this one I saw, said so-called energy independence may be referring to the fact that on net, the country either produced more energy than it consumed, exported more energy than it imported,
right.
or specifically had a greater number of exports than imports of petroleum, which includes crude oil and refined products from crude oil like gasoline and and various fuels.
Right.
So that doesn't mean we were not dependent on other people. That does not mean we were independent. It just means we had a net profit of
we
oil.
shipped out more than we shipped in.
Like,
because this is one of the things is like the way that like oil law works is we don't produce our oil here and then just use our oil here. Any oil we produce here has to go on to the global market and then influence global market prices.
That's right.
And then when the global market prices are influenced, then we buy either our own oil or somebody else's oil on the market back. And that's what we use.
Exactly.
Like if you're talking about oil markets, there is literally no way to be independent with the current laws because your oil has to go onto the global market and be part of that system. The only way you're going to get out of that is either go rogue and go, state independent from all of that, which we're not going to do, or get off of oil.
Right.
Which we're probably also not going to do. We're going to die.
So let's be fair, okay? Here in America, everything is about America. So there is no global. Everything that's happening here is only happening here.
Right.
Because it's happening here, right? There's no global market. It's Biden's fault.
Right.
It's Trump's fault, right? And we're going to get more into that global market here in just a minute. But the other one that you keep hearing is gas is going up.
You keep hearing because your poor ass is on Facebook still.
Yeah, well, the other one I keep hearing is gas is going up because Russia. Because Russia and Ukraine.
Sure. And that one sort of has a little something to do with it. Go ahead.
And spoiler alert, with yet another 5 minutes of research. Literally 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Per topic.
Yeah.
I uncovered that, yes, we get oil from Russia. At least we have to this point.
Sure. Because all of the oil goes onto the global market.
Right. According to a study that I found, as little as 8% of U.S. oil comes from Russia.
Uh-huh.
So, tiny piece maybe because of Russia or Ukraine, but you're not doing your research. You're listening to the talking points spewed at you from the mainstream media you tell people not to watch. Fox News is telling you this is entirely Biden's fault because he's not handling Russia and he's a weak president, right? CNN is telling you this is Trump's fault because he bumbled the pandemic. And that's kind of right, just like the Russia thing is kind of right, but it's not all the way right.
Right.
And with 15 minutes of research, I uncovered this information like it was, a treasure trove of, I don't know, truth.
Right.
Like facts.
Right.
Things I can prove. So there is a little bit of credence to that theory, but it's not the whole picture.
Right.
And you're missing it because you're only getting your talking points from the chosen news sources and you're not bothering to look at the rest of it. The one thing I hear that has a little bit more truth to that is the pandemic is to blame.
Sure.
And there's definitely some validity there.
Yeah.
Because the last time that, when there was, when Trump was in office, everything was fine and the gas was as low as it's ever been. I'm like, yeah,
no,
we were dealing with a global pandemic and he lowered the gas prices also because nobody was driving.
Right.
We were all on lockdown. We weren't supposed to go anywhere. We did anyway. But lots of people didn't go places.
Right.
So there wasn't nearly the demand
right.
for oil.
I think it's in this case it's less about the Americans weren't so much on lockdown. It's everybody else that actually did real lockdowns.
Everybody else was doing they're doing their part. Right. And again, global market, guys.
Right.
Let's remember this. This is happening everywhere, not just here.
Right.
And that's the closest I could find for like the left of right center, whatever fucking
Just
commentary
call them
that
centrists. It's
that
fine.
Trump is at fault.
Right.
Because I mean, yeah, you know, we're year 3 of a pandemic that was supposed to just magically pass us by. And yeah, his leadership, his bumbling of that certainly didn't help this crisis, but still can't lay it at his feet.
Right. Like,
Not entirely.
Biden had the vaccine out during his whole run, and it's, technically still here.
Right.
No matter what the fucking on the prompter says about it and
Right.
what the CDC is saying about mask wearing and all that other shit, there's still people out there dying of COVID.
Well, elections
It's
are
just
coming up.
It's just not, part of the news cycle because Ukraine and Russia is far more interesting.
So it just kind of, this is what makes it just magically pass us by, right? Trump was told the right words to say, but he didn't implement the whole magically pass us by thing. There wasn't a distraction that was big enough.
Right.
He couldn't get Putin to invade soon enough. That's what it was. And then as I'm doing all this research, I found an interesting factoid that the oil companies in February, BP specifically, reported that profits soared to an 8-year high. So while we are paying, how much you pay for gas this week? What was the highest?
I think it was like $4.20 a gallon.
Yikes.
Some maybe $4.30.
That's disgusting. But while we're paying $4.30 per gallon of gas, BP is recording an 8-year high profit of $13 billion almost.
Woo!
That's nice.
How many tanks of gas is that?
That's a lot of tanks. Even at $4.25, dude, bump it to $4.50. You're still fine. I mean, and then you have Shell posted annual revenue of $19.3 billion. Chevron and ExxonMobil recorded full year net profits of $15.6 billion and $23 billion, respectively. Right. So the oil companies are doing fine.
And really, really want to emphasize that these like massive profit margins are from the year before Russia did anything with, well, not anything, but before the current invasion of Ukraine.
That's right. That is only a couple weeks old.
Right. Exactly. That they started, one of the things that they did was like OPEC and the US cut production to keep the prices up.
That's right.
There was a point where there was so much oil, but the pandemic was just ramping up, that oil was literally trading in the negative for a while.
Yep, absolutely.
Now,
nobody was going anywhere.
For some reason during that period, I never got paid to take gas off the lot.
I mean, even during that bit of time where people were putting gas in plastic bags, the shopping bags and stuff like that, and hoarding gas because there was a gas shortage, right? I mean, that's a lot of profit,
right?
And so they're happy, and that's great.
What was gas down to at that point?
God, I don't even remember how low it got, but it got low.
But
it was almost.
It got like what, $1.50?
I think so.
My old ass remembers like my very first tank of gas that I bought for 98 cents a gallon.
I too paid 98 cents a gallon at one point.
So like
it was really nice. I have paid under $1 for gas. I am that old.
So when somebody's like gas prices were low at $1.50, I'm like,
that's cute.
Yeah, like
you don't know my struggle. Goddamn Gen Z kids. Not really. I don't mind you.
Nope. Love the Zoomers.
Yep. As the oil companies are posting their profits, I noticed that they are bitching. They of course are shifting the blame. Everybody's shifting the blame.
Always.
Everybody's shifting the blame. Because like right now it looks with the picture we've painted you, we have average Joe that's actually like biting this cost, right? And eating the majority of this shit, right? We're bitching back and forth about Biden, Trump, Biden, Trump, Biden, Trump. The whole time
Russia,
the oil
pandemic.
companies are like, yeah, That's right. Keep bitching about politics, you morons.
Right.
You don't know how to read the articles that are everywhere. And I'm cleaning up.
Headlines only.
Right. You don't know that we bury that information in the little words underneath the big ones. But
and by big ones we mean font size, not number of syllables.
Right. We didn't even get into legalese. But and of course, there are some people that actually read. Right. Those like us who had gotten to that point. And those people that want to ask questions are being told by the executives from oil companies that the investors are the problem. The investors, they don't want to risk drilling with new sites or drilling on new sites because that costs money to drill into the ground and, tear up the earth. It costs money. And with climate change looming, climate change, quote, looming.
Right.
Already here. And with new legislation that's supposed to be, quote, looming. Right.
Never going to happen.
I've seen tons of that, haven't you? They're saying there's this risk to the investors' profits, that the investors just aren't willing to invest in new drilling sites and new production. Instead, we're just content to keep the price high.
Right.
So that their profits can be protected.
That's definitely how like I definitely want my gas prices to be like 50% higher than what they were at this same time last year, because that definitely helps me go, I have surplus resources available to invest more now somehow.
Yep.
I'm making more money on my investments somehow now that already exist by gas prices being up at, $4.30 a gallon.
No joke.
That's definitely making me a shit ton of money.
Yep.
It's not making me a shit ton of
money. At all. So, it seems like everybody has somebody to blame. And we're looking at the investors, and the global market is about where I dug to. And not surprisingly, it is the rich people that really make the decisions in this world.
As usual.
That are just fucking the poor people because, well,
as usual.
Right. It's more of that. And the whole time we're infighting. We're bickering over the distraction.
Right.
We are buying the distraction.
Right.
And ignoring the actual problem.
Right.
I'm just saying, wouldn't a great public transit service be amazing right now?
Yeah, it would.
Especially if it could be electric. At the very least.
Right. Well, I mean, at that
electric's
point,
not perfect, but it's better.
Right. What's the source of the electricity? Are we burning coal or are we fucking doing nuclear?
You know
what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, for now, until it's developed, we're probably burning coal.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's still a little better, but
sure.
Progress in some design,
sure.
Right? Public transit would be amazing when gas is fucking $4.50 a gallon.
Right.
I mean, that's disgusting.
I mean, like, the whole thing is buying into the distraction, right? Like, I'm sure you've been getting nothing but inundated with "We Stand By Ukraine" this whole fucking time. And I'll tell you what, I don't stand with Ukraine. I really don't like the idea of my tax dollars going to Nazis. I'm just
We've
not
mentioned that
here
before.
For it. Right.
We mentioned that last week.
Mentioned it before. I don't stand with either of them. I stand with the people who are kind of caught in the middle, and they're getting fucked over 6 ways from Sunday, just like the rest of us.
Stand with the fact that there doesn't need to be a war right now.
Right. But ultimately what it comes down to is, like, this whole thing was going to happen, like the gas prices was going to happen anyway, whether the Russia-Ukraine thing popped off or not.
Right.
Whether Trump or Biden was in office didn't matter, because the grand scheme of it is, OPEC and the U.S. and probably some other oil-producing places, in order to maintain their profit margins once oil went to $0 a barrel, cut their production in order to maintain their prices. Their
profits,
Right, exactly. So
let me just simplify that as the rich maintaining their riches.
Right. Exactly. And then from there, all of that happened because of the pandemic. Reliable cause.
There's a talking point there.
It's the talking point there. It happened because of the pandemic. Prices, oil prices dropped from oversupply, so they cut production.
Right.
Basic ass economics.
And then we roared back coming out of the pandemic faster than they could produce it.
Right, exactly, because scaling back up after cutting that production takes time.
Right. Not to mention they're still finding workers.
Right.
Just
Exactly.
like a lot of other people.
Probably because, especially in the United States, most of those workers probably weren't wearing masks or getting vaccinated,
Right.
so they're all dead.
Right, probably.
So they got to find a new batch of people and get them trained. Another thing that's a factor in it is like all of these rich oil producing places had money dumped into Nord Stream 2, which was a contested project even before the Russia-Ukraine thing popped off. Right. So when they're saying that the investors don't want to put in money for new drilling, it's because like they had just dumped a shitload of money into Nord Stream 2 and the Nord Stream 2 project dead. Mm-hmm. They were struggling before this even popped off. And as soon as it popped off, dead.
Right.
So they're trying to recoup their losses from that.
Right.
Right. And that's another thing that plays into this, right? Is all of these record profits and all of this low production and all of this, all of this is happening in order to artificially inflate the price so that they can make back their money.
That's right.
From when they took their losses. They're just not eating those losses and writing them off. They're like, no, let's go ahead and make this back up.
That's right.
Because you, as person who drives a car, have to pay it in order to survive.
Yep.
You are a captured consumer.
Yep.
You don't have any other options unless you're willing to fish out, for a full-ass electric car.
Yeah, you are definitely not energy independent.
Right. By a long shot.
Definitely not, and they know it. So
your choices are between Chevron, BP, Shell, Mobil.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
You just get to choose who you're giving your money to.
You don't have the not oil option unless you're willing to spend a boatload of money on an electric car.
It's fair to say that through my little bit of research this week, I found out that it is not all Trump. It is not all Biden.
Nope.
It is not all Russia versus Ukraine.
Nope.
It's that age-old thing.
And it's still not even all pandemic.
Right. And it's not all pandemic. You're right. And it comes back. It's that age-old thing. If you follow the money,
right,
you're going to find out what's going on.
Right.
The rich people on high are recouping their money because they need new yachts. COVID is ending, at least publicly.
Right.
So they're going to be back out. Right. Yacht season is the summer is coming, people. They need something they can sail to the other side of the world where the parties are better. Right? So,
or at least to international waters.
So, yeah. So the gas prices are going up. But if you want to get mad at somebody, do the research. The whole point with this episode was that I wanted to take something I knew literally nothing about.
Right.
At the beginning of this week,
right.
I texted you, I think, on Monday and was like, yo, we could do this if we don't find anything better. And you were like, let's do this.
Right. Like, I don't even look for something better.
Right.
Let's do this.
So I knew relatively nothing about this whole situation and why it was. Right. I knew the talking points I had seen on Facebook.
Right.
And then throughout the week, little bits here and there, because I'm a very busy man, I did a little bit of research and a little more and a little more. And a little bit down the line, I found the answers that I was seeking in, an hour or two at most.
Sure.
So, and now if I see people bitching, I'm like, okay, but this,
right.
or this, or this.
And this, and this,
right.
and this.
And I'm like, this took me 2 hours.
Right.
And these are everybody's argument. Everybody, not just some, everybody
right.
is giving the same talking points.
Sure.
That I reasoned out in less than 2 hours.
Right.
So it can totally be done.
Right.
If we are more willing to do the fucking research before we open our mouths.
Right.
We'd get a lot more done.
Don't buy into the propaganda. look for the material basis.
Avoid the propaganda.
The propaganda.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. This has been Deviance Welcome. You can check out more episodes and get access to the latest everything on the website, volatilepatience.com. There you can sign up for the mailing list and tell us what kind of topics you'd like to hear. Check out the sock meds if that's your thing, facebook.com/volatilepatiencemusic.
At VOLATYLPATIENCE on Twitter, spelled weird because Twitter didn't give us enough characters.
Thank you, Twitter.
And spelled normally on Instagram at volatile_Instagram. At volatile_patience because Instagram did give us enough characters.
Swinging it. That's strike 2.
I know. I'm dying.
Thank you, Instagram. You can check out the Deviance Welcome YouTube channel at Deviance Welcome or the Volatile Patience specific YouTube channel at Volatile Patience. Check out the Deviance Welcome Facebook group where you can continue the discussion with us. Remember to give us a review on Apple, and if you follow the money, if you do the research, you don't have to wonder if the person on the other side of the keyboard is telling the truth.
Right.
You can look for yourself, you can get educated, and you can actually know what is going on.
Right.
So you can look at it through the lens of someone who
knows what's going on and knows that what the other person is saying is coming completely out of their asshole.
Exactly. And with that, we'll see you next week. Say bye to the people, Sal.
Bye, the people.
The show must go